Let's talk about something ugly. So just a heads up, I'm a little sick today, so if you hear it in my voice, that's what's going on. But I'm really excited to talk about this. I feel this rush of excitement in my chest, and it's because it's all still so fresh. I'm so freaking excited right now. So a few days ago, my heartfelt comment about the show Ugly Betty was read aloud by one of the actual actors from the show during their rewatch podcast. So for context, I'm a huge, massively huge fan of the show Ugly Betty. And, not in that casual sense of oh my God, it's a great show. I love that show. It's cool. No. It's one of those rare shows that I really fucking resonate with. And it's had such a real tremendous personal impact on my life. So two of the actors from the show, Mark Indelicato and Anna Ortiz, who play Justin and Hilda Suarez, started this rewatch podcast called the Viva Betty podcast, where they rewatch each episode. They invite guests and talk about all these behind the scenes stories. And it's, oh my God, it's keeping so much hope alive for a reboot. And I'm loving this new wave of Betty content that we're getting right now. We also have another podcast from two of the other actors from the show doing the same thing, having their own rewatch podcast. There's definitely a lot of talk about Betty right now, and it's super refreshing and gets me really excited for a potential reboot. So I left this heartfelt comment on one of their earlier episodes, and I hope it's cool. I'll just play the clip for you guys. Please don't sue me.
And Mark is going to read a really sweet comment that
it is not a question, but a really lovely comment, and we just thought that it was very sweet. It's from @it's Eric Appleseed. Honestly, I can't even tell you how much love and profound personal change Betty has brought to my life. It's truly from the deepest part of my heart. What's never talked about is how compassionate and sensitive the show was about mental health and the beautiful messiness of being human. They authentically allowed these characters to completely mess up, to forgive with grace, and to ultimately just exist. That alone has given me such a gift. The profound understanding that we are all beautifully complex and nuanced, and we are absolutely allowed to be ourselves. Watching Betty figure herself out, navigating her identity, her relationships, and her constant desire to be a genuinely good person. It's been a true, comforting mirror to my own self-growth. Her incredible strength isn't some sugary sweet fantasy. It is a deeply felt, realistic, positive outlook that I fucking love. The writing is perfection. The attention to detail meant to give every single character... The attention to detail meant that every single character received an arc of immense and organic development, all of them truly growing into the people they were meant to be. And all of that beautiful growth radiated outward from Betty's commitment to living authentically. I watch this show almost every day like a warm hug. When life feels dark, when I struggle to accept who I am, or when hope seems lost, I always find my way back to Betty. Every day I ask myself, what would Betty do?
I can't. I honestly, I can't, dude. I wrote that comment weeks ago, never expecting them to read it, to respond to it, or even see it at all. But now that it's been acknowledged, it almost feels like a complete full circle moment, you know? And when I wrote about the show, I meant that with my entire heart. I truly meant what I wrote. And I want to talk about why. So Ugly Betty premiered on ABC in 2006, but I didn't actually watch the show until 2018 when my ex-boyfriend made me sit down to watch the pilot, and instantly I was hooked. I wanted more. I was so hooked on this. I remember telling him at the end of the first episode, oh, do you want to watch some more? Because I want to keep going. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to see what was going to happen next. Where was Betty going to be? What was going to happen with these characters? And you start to see them really evolve naturally. At the heart of the show, it follows Betty Suarez, a first-generation Latina woman in her early 20s, landing her first, like, big girl job as an assistant to the editor-in-chief at Mode magazine. It's so chaotic. It's crazy, it's terrifying, and it's so exciting, and the pilot perfectly captures the raw feeling of that hopeful naivete of starting something new and trying to be the best and most confident version of yourself, but failing at it flawlessly. And what makes it special is how real and truly authentic it feels. Betty walks into that office in her bright red Guadalajara poncho, standing out in every fucking way, like a deer in headlights, dude. And somehow, throughout the entire show, Betty ends up showing everyone around her that they can be beautiful and that they're worthy of being who they are. And the impact of Betty Suarez as a whole, it's like I said in the comment, it's mirrored my own growth in a lot of ways. And like I mentioned too, in the very first episode of this podcast, I remember saying after I finished therapy and really learning that it's okay to just be myself, to give myself and others grace, to speak up and not let my voice go unnoticed, you know? And that's really what the heart of this show is about. And aside from all this mushy emotional shit, the show is just it's so fucking hilarious. Oh my God, it's so fucking funny. It's definitely a product of its time from 2006 to 2010, but that's what's so fucking great about this show. Like, the fashion is so iconic and memorable and always such a great conversation starter. And the writing is chaotic. It's intense. And it's this weird blend of like a Spanish telenovela and like an American comedy / drama. I think they labeled it as a dramedy, but it has a lot of telenovela, like books, notes taken from the telenovela handbook, you know? It's very that. I mean, where else are you going to find a show that has sex changes, social security fraud, high fashion scandals, coming back from the dead, corporate espionage, backstabbing affairs, taking sperm from a corpse, running a magazine empire, and trying to make it home in time to eat flan with your family? What kind of show has all of this put into one thing? I mean, that's not to say there's not some really great television shows out there in the world. And God knows there probably is, but where else are you going to find all of this wrapped into one perfectly, obnoxiously amazing gift? But beyond all the insane plot twists the show has to offer, what really stays with me is what Ugly Betty truly represents. Betty Suarez shows up every day, underestimated, overworked, and always overlooked. And she still leads with pure, authentic kindness. She doesn't wait for anyone to validate her. She just keeps showing up, and almost always the validation follows. That in itself is so powerful to me. At least for me, you know, when I was growing up, I was different. I was chubby. I was misunderstood. I never had validation or friends. I learned that validation came when you had something to offer people, and I'm still trying to unlearn that reflex. To earn love by action. Betty reminds me that being yourself is truly enough, even when it feels like it's not the reality. And maybe that's why this show resonates with me so much. And especially now that I'm at this point in my life where I'm learning that you don't always have to prove your worth. You just have to live it. Betty doesn't force anyone to accept her. She just simply is. Which is why I legit ask myself almost daily, what would Betty do? I don't know. So there's so much more I could say about this show, and I could go on for hours talking about each episode, talking about how every single character has this amazingly written, beautiful story arc and how they're all able to come into their own and they're allowed to fail. They're allowed to forgive. They're allowed to just exist in the context of which they in the context of which they live. That they wrote this show so beautifully well, and it's truly helped me in ways that I don't even have the words for. So yeah, the moral of this episode, I guess, leave emotional essays in podcast comment sections, because it might just get you featured by your favorite TV family. I don't fucking know. Dude, but seriously, that to say, this all reminds me that sometimes the validation that I tend to chase can find me naturally at times, usually when I'm just trying to be myself. And that's really, I don't know, that's really nice and it's really refreshing. But anyways, go watch Ugly Betty. It's streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu. And word of advice, keep wearing that metaphorical poncho however you see fit. Thank you for listening to the Please See Above podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Eric Appleseed. I'm Eric Ornelas, the creator, executive producer, and host of Please See Above. This podcast is recorded in Glendora, California. Music is by Juan Avitia. Be sure to check out new episodes every Wednesday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.